Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Sharon from Free Spirit Fabrics. We're still working on our KFQA quilt along, and we're currently working in week 4. So this week we are revealing what I'm going to call the plumb line of the quilt. This is the piece that's going to come across your quilt. It will not necessarily be in the middle of the quilt, so don't make that assumption as you have all your segments and you're trying to figure it out. So make sure that you continue on with your squares. You have your 4 square, you have your square and square, and be sure that you follow the diagram. The diagram is very important. I can't emphasize enough how important the diagram is. So this one is for the sunset version. I have the bold behind me. We'll pan over to that in a moment. But please make all of your blocks and then start assembling them like this. We have it running vertically here, and behind me they are running horizontally. Again, consider this your plumb line in a way that you can start seeing your quilt come together, whether this line is running across your quilt or up and down in the quilt. Either way, it's going to be a nice base from which you can work from as we start to assemble the quilt very soon. So, what I'd like to talk about now is while you're working on this particular segment this week, you need to start thinking about quilt backs. So you need to grab your bag that if you signed up early, you have your bag, and you need to head to your local quilt store to find your backing for your quilt. So we have some beautiful backings designed by KFQA that we'd like to show you. This one right here is called Full Blown, and it's a beautiful flower. It comes in multitude of colors. The one that we have called out is this one for the bold colorway. But as you can see, there's so many other beautiful colors in this particular range that will work very nicely with this quilt, with the bold colorway. All of these would be a very, very nice choice. These fabrics are 100% cotton sateen. They have a beautiful weight, a very, very nice hand. If you put it on the back of the quilt is going to feel, what I like to say is between the top, the batting that you choose, and the backing, it's going to feel like you have something on you. It's going to feel like a quilt. And I know that when I'm getting into bed, I like to feel my blanket. I like to know that there's something on top of me. So these sateen backings are very, very nice for that. I'd like to move along over here to show you, this is Fruit Mandela. We have this in a pink, a blue, and a red colorway. These would also be very nice to choose for either the bold or the sunset colorway. And lastly, over here is our sunset segment. We have Stoneflower, and we have Stoneflower here in royal, in beige, and in gray. And we called out the gray to go with the sunset version, but as you can see, either of these other backings in the Stoneflower would be just as beautiful to work with this. And if you didn't want to use this one, well, what I like about this one is that this basket is so big and it's just so beautiful. You could even flip it over on your, the quilt you could flip over and use this, depending on your quilting, on the top of your bed if you wanted to. It's just very, very stunning. So back to all of these, you have a beautiful range of 108-inch, 100% cotton sateen backings designed by KFQA in 3 different designs, all of which look beautiful with either quilt. It's your choice what you'd like to do, what you'd like to select to put, put your personal touch on the quilt. We've selected a background for you if you don't want to make that choice, but if you would like to make a choice, go to your local quilt shop, see what they have on hand, ask them to order one of these if they don't have it, and start getting ready to start thinking about how you're going to be quilting your quilt. I know that very often when I'm making my quilt, I feel as though as I'm going through the process that the quilt starts to talk to me and how it would like to be quilted. And I think the more that I work with a quilt, I start to get a feeling of what I envision the end result to be in terms of the quilting, whether I want to do circles or crosshatch, which I probably wouldn't do for this, but all the different types of quilting that I may be considering for my quilting. The quilt starts to talk is the way I like to say it, and then it talks back maybe, but it still talks. and you can start thinking about that and selecting your quilt backs as we move forward. So that is it for week 4 in this Cave-tastic quilt along. We hope you're enjoying it. We are still enjoying it, and we hope you're having a lot of fun. Until next week, week 5, you got to get your sewing machines ready, get your needles ready, switch out your needles, and make sure your bobbin's full again, and clean up your machine, because week 5 is a big week, and then we're cruising on into the final weeks of the Cave-tastic quilt along. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week for week 5.